Hello, friends. Welcome back to Spellhaven, a place where all are welcome. So come on in and let's have a chat and learn to run D&D together. My name is Jaren, and tonight I begin a new series called Lessons from the Table, in which I just get to talk about some things that I've learned from recent games. Hopefully, this will be somewhat a little bit more structured rather than the usual sort of do it as I go with the D&D behind the scenes. It'll be a little more structured, but it'll also be a little bit directly talking to you all. And I want to kick this off tonight with a topic that's been on my mind for a while, and that's the idea of imposter syndrome. That voice in your head that tries to tell you that you're not good enough, you don't know enough, you don't have enough experience. So how dare you have a platform and an opinion? And it tries to get you to silence all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you that that's nonsense. Largely what I'm talking about tonight is simply reminders to myself. So this is not to say that I have figured everything out. I'm not an expert on the topic. I'm just a guy that's run D&D for a little bit and has been able to reframe imposter syndrome so that when I do have that again, I can maybe approach it with a bit healthier of a mindset. It's not to say that one never really gets over it. It's just I think I figured some things out, some things that helped me, and I thought maybe they could help you too. So that said, let's get into it. If you just want to get the TLDR, I got the bullet points for you here. I'm going to talk on each of these briefly, but it comes down to simply reframing what this actually is, understanding what your value is, knowing what is and is not your job. Whether you're sitting down at the D&D table or whether you're a creator trying to get an Etsy shop going, putting your visual art out into the world, whether you're writing music, putting that out in the world. Understand what is and is not your job in that respect, and I'll talk in detail about that. Cut yourself some slack because you're probably doing better than you think, and separate the art from the artist, meaning criticism of what you put out there is probably not a reflection of you. So let's get into it. Understand your value and where that value comes from. This was a big shift for me in understanding that my value wasn't in how technically good I was or was not at running D&D. It comes from the fact that, and the reason that I think, besides the fact that they're my friends and we want to get together and have some fun, the reason that my players like playing in my game is because I have my own unique take on it, which is based on my whole collection of life experiences, the things that I find interesting and cool, and the things that I want to highlight, the way that I want to run it has nothing to do with whether or not I've memorized the player's handbook and whether I get a rule wrong or my certain collection of house rules. It's my enthusiasm and excitement for the game that brings people back, I think. Besides the fact that, yeah, they're my friends and we want to play together. My value is from that whole collection of life experiences and my perspective and take on the game. And a little bit of a side story to give another example of this. In a previous part of my life, pre-COVID, which I still go back to this activity every now and then when I have the time. I was a swing dancer, Lindy Hop swing dancer for about 6.5 years. And in the beginning, when my repertoire was a blank slate, I knew nothing. What I would do, aside from taking lessons, what I would do is go to social dances and I would observe and watch the people that were really good and I would copy them and I go, I see that person, he's super good. This person over here is really good. I like the way she's doing it. I'm going to steal that style. I'm going to do it like that. I'm going to take those moves and I'm going to copy it. And in the beginning, I think that's a really valuable way to get good quickly. At a certain point, however, a couple years into it, probably even before I was technically not terrible, I recognized the people that I was looking up to had their own style. You could see it. You didn't even need to dance with them. You could just watch them and they had their own style and way of doing it. And I decided at that moment that I didn't want to be them anymore. I wanted to be the person that other people were looking to as their own style. I wanted to dance like me. I wanted people to leave a 3.5 minute song going, that might not have technically been the best, but it certainly was a hell of a lot of fun and was a different style for sure. What I was learning to do was value my own creative expression more than I did copying somebody else and trying to be a discount version of them. I valued being my full version of me. And I think it's a really good place to get to in any creative endeavor. Certainly very valuable in D&D. I think you should try to learn from the likes of Matt Mercer and Matt Colville and the Brendan Lee Mulligans of the world and go, I like the way that they're doing it. I'm going to try to take some of those ideas, those styles, those phrases, and the way that they present the thing and their whole the style of game they run, but at a certain point, you got to go, I'm not going to copy them. I'm going to just take some ideas, but I really want to do it my own way. So that's number one. Learn where your value comes from. It's your own unique style and take on the game, not from how technically proficient you are. And certainly you have to be technically, you got to know the rules and stuff too. I'm not saying skirt the technical stuff of it. Number two, know what is and is not your job at the table. I heard an interview with Bryan Cranston of Breaking Bad and a bunch of other shows. He was asked, and this quote stuck with me forever. He was asked what advice he would give to upcoming actors, and he said, I'm going to paraphrase this. You can probably find this on the internet, this exact little clip of an interview. But he said he made this one little switch in his head, and he was never busier after that, as he realized what his responsibility was and was not. Essentially, it was recognizing what can I control and what can't I control. And he said, my job was to show up to an audition, present the character that I had prepared, and then go home. And whether or not you get it, whether or not you got the role is out of control. There were so many other factors that it was not worth worrying about. You just show up, do your job, and go home. And I think that's a great mindset to get into. It takes a lot of pressure off of me running D&D to go, I don't have to force my players to have fun. Their fun is not my job. Of course, sure, if no one's having fun, maybe I got to do some reflection and go, wait, was I doing all the things that I needed to do? Was I just did I have blinders on and ignore what my players wanted to do too? But if I'm doing all the things that I'm actually responsible for and they're still not having fun, I can't brute force that at the table. What I can do is do all the things that I have control over. I can show up on time. I can prepare a session. I can present things that I think are interesting and fun and would make for interesting situations. I can prepare the encounters. I can bring music. But beyond that, I can't make people engage with the clues or the story. I can't make people role play. I can't make them have fun. And maybe if they're not having fun, it's simply a mismatch of the game that I want to run versus the game that they want to play in. It may not even be something that I'm doing wrong. Maybe I'm doing all the things that I need to do and they're still not having fun. That's totally fine. I'm not worried about that. So understand what's your job and what's not your job. You're not responsible directly for making your players have fun. If they're not having fun, yeah, maybe you got to do some self-reflection, but take care of your own responsibilities and then don't worry about it. You have that conversation with players. Hey, are you not enjoying the material? Are there things that, what sort of things would you find interesting? Do you want to explore? Do you want to do less of? Have that conversation. But it's helpful for me to keep in mind, I don't have to make my players have fun. I just have to present situations that could be interesting that I think they'll like. And then go home and prepare the next session. Point number 3, cut yourself some slack. You're probably doing better than you think. What I mean by this is you're not going to have super amazing sessions every time. You're probably not going to have super amazing sessions half the time. I'd say if you can have pretty good sessions 10% of the time, you're probably doing better than you think. Even in like highly technical competitive things like professional baseball, if you fail 2/3 of the time, you can make a bunch of money in professional baseball. And I know this isn't the same thing, but if you want to compare it to like a creative endeavor, let's look at anything in the arts, any book series, any musical artist, TV show, TV series, movie trilogy. I guarantee you there's some that are not really all that great. I know personally my all-time favorite band since I was 14 years old is a band called 311. You may or may not know who the heck they are. I stopped listening to them at a certain point, about halfway through their current catalog, 'cause it just wasn't really resonating with me. Still doesn't make me like them any less. Shows like Breaking Bad, for example, a lot of people say it's one of the best shows of all time. Take it or leave it as that. It's your opinion. That said, there are definitely episodes in there where I'm going, I don't know what they were really intending, but this is just not hitting. A book series I super love, the Wheel of Time series. A lot of people that love that series, adore that series, reread it all the time, agree that there's like a certain 2 or 3 books in the middle that are kind of a bit rough to get through. It doesn't make you like it any less. So I would say that if you're doing anywhere from like okay to decent most of the time, you're probably doing a lot better than you think. Every now and then, you'll have those one-hit wonders of the campaign that just everything's clicking, but you're not going to have home runs every time. A really good quote that I had heard, I was listening to the Adventuring Academy podcast with Brendan Lee Mulligan. He brings a bunch of his friends in to have a chat, and they talk about D&D and improv and their experiences and how that relates to storytelling. And they were talking about an improv coach that they had. And this improv coach came in and said, my job is not to raise your ceiling, it's to raise your floor, meaning bring it up such that when you're having an off night, even your off nights are still pretty passably good. And that makes your whole overall set of work that much better. So I think it's a good target, a good goal to have in running D&D. Learn your tools, learn your craft, learn the rules, get better at storytelling, so that even when you're having an off night, it's still passably good. And so on average, if you can have anything from like, it's okay-ish to that was a pretty okay session, a decent session. And then maybe 10% of the time your players just leave wanting more, wanting to play more. You end on an awesome cliffhanger, really exciting, dramatic combat that has no lag and lull to it. Every now and then you have those. I think you're probably doing pretty good. So cut yourself some slack. You're probably doing a lot better than you think. You're not going to have amazing sessions every time. You're not going to have amazing sessions most of the time. They're going to be decent to okay. And that's perfectly fine. Number 4, separate the art from the artist. This is the thing that is the hardest for me to do. I struggle with this the most. Even putting this out into the world, I want to just cower behind a cover because I know that I'm just lying in wait to see how people respond to it. Even though deep down I know it's not a reflection of me. It's simply a reflection of the content itself. If people aren't super digging your sessions, if you ask for feedback halfway through your campaign or every 5 sessions, you guys sit down and go, hey, Stars and Wishes, what do you like? What do you want to see more of? And they go, we're not liking any of it. Don't take that as a personal reflection of you, because it's not. I bet your friends really like you. It's merely a reflection of the thing that you put out into the world. It's a reflection of the session, of the campaign, of whatever it is. So it's not personal. It's just a criticism of the work itself, and it's an opportunity to improve it. It's a conversation. It's communication. This is something that I struggle with a lot, like I said. But it is something I need to remind myself of. So that is the 4th point: separate the art from the artist. I think I had more that I wanted to say on that, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment. So I guess in conclusion, I took a bunch of notes here. I put them way down here so it wasn't distracting on the screen. Wanted to see if there's anything else I wanted to cover here, and I think that's probably about it. So to kind of conclude here, value what you bring to the table, and value your own best version of you more than you value trying to be a discount version of somebody else. Be your full and best self. Bring that to the table. Understand what your job is. Present the material that you think is fun and exciting, and then go home and do it again. So reminders for myself mostly, but if you found that helpful too, I'm glad to hear it. Feel free to share this around, subscribe, like it, and all that stuff. And if you didn't, I'm okay with it. There's plenty of other tools out there. Like I said, this is mostly a reminder to myself that I thought other people might be able to benefit from. I'm gonna stop talking now because it's 15 minutes. It's actually a shorter video than my Sunday sessions. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. This is Spellhaven. My name is Jaren, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.